What up, you weirdos? Dave here, and I like history. Recent development in my life, I apparently have become a discontinued Leatherman collector, and I'm okay with that. Over the past several months, I have gathered a handful of tools in addition to these two, and I am excited to find excuses to put those on camera, so stay tuned! Here we have the entirety of the Supertool family as it currently stands. The Supertool 300 allow me to rearrange my cord. The Supertool 300 is a tool that I've already done a video on, and I love this thing. It's massive. It's so much bigger and stronger than I have any specific need for. Absolutely qualifies as a heavy-duty tool. These blades are gigantic, and it has a lockback. The same lockback, or at least same function lockback, as the Wave's interior tools. So if you're familiar with the Wave and the Surge and the Charge, this is the same push-button lockback. So this is big, it's cut out, it's beefy, it's got the replaceable wire cutters, it's got rounded handles, it's got a massive, very simple clip point blade. But where did it come from? Let's go straight to the top. This is the original Supertool, the OG baby, that started production in 1994. I have no way of knowing when this version came out, because I assume that there are a handful of different versions. So I don't know how old this tool is, but the original Supertool's production ran from 94 to 2001. And there are a lot of similarities, a lot of things that you will recognize. First off, a similar clip point blade is more of a drop point, I suppose. But much smaller than what you're used to. And it does have a lockback system, and it's actually very solid lockup, very little blade play. The difference is that to unlock it, you need to pull another tool out so that that'll disengage. And then you can put both tools back. So, I love how these things evolve over time. So going straight through the tool set, we'll start back over here. We have a main blade that's straight. We have a very small awl that I'm going to cut my fingers on, so I'm done with that. Two flathead screwdrivers, and then here is a file. One side is cross-cut, one side is single-cut. Now there is quite a bit of rust and grime on here. That's because I got them secondary, and they look so much better than they did when I got them. I spent about 3 days going heavy on them with Q-tips and alcohol. So that's one side. The other side is a serrated blade. Very similar, that's the same blade style as the plain edge, just with a different edge type. We have a can opener in there and a Phillips, so we can all see that. And this is the infamous leather. And there's... Alright, maybe somebody in the comments can help me, because I don't actually know. What is this tool? It's very sharp. Right there. It's very sharp. It's not sharpened, it's just incredibly pointy. Is it perhaps a tool that broke? Was it supposed to be a tiny, tiny flathead? Is it supposed to be a secondary awl? I'm not sure why it would have two awls. I assume it's a tiny flathead that broke, but I don't know that, and I haven't actually watched a video on this old Supertool. So I don't know. Somebody let me know. This is the infamous Leatherman saw that ramps in the back so that the spine is thinner than the blade. It would actually be interesting for me to know when that started happening. In a video after this, when I talk about a tool older than this. Maybe I'll do a little bit of research for that video and find that out. It would be interesting for me to know. One thing, one weakness of this tool is getting tools out. So as you can see, that the big, gotta stay in frame, the big flathead right there has a nail nick. But since the nick is flush with the tools around it, you can't get to it. So you have to rely on tool grouping to get it out. Ow. There we go. And now we have access to the medium flathead. But because this nail nick, you can't access it. So that nail nick does no good. And on the other side, the Phillips head is in the exact same position, so you have to rely on tool grouping to get it out. And there we go. Now you can use it. So put that back. This is an incredibly heavy-duty tool in comparison to what they were doing at the time. The modern wave would be super heavy-duty compared to everything else that they were doing at the time. But we do have a very noticeable, very simple plier head. We have, I think it's a wire crimper down here. I'm not sure. But whatever that is, we have the same thing right here. So that's cool. Wire cutters as well as hard wire cutters. And even though this is 20 years old, 23 years old, still comes to a very nice delicate point, still very tough and strong. One of my favorite evolutions of Leatherman over time is this edge, because this is sharp. This stands straight up, the edge of the handle, so when you grab it, it marks you, it cuts you. So it doesn't cut you, but it can if you're using this too much. If you're actually using it, to be quite frank. So I can really only imagine what it was like at the time when this was the absolute best thing on the market. Because, like, that really hurts. The edges of the handle really, really super hurts. But, luckily for us, Leatherman has a habit of listening to their constituents. They don't do it all the time, because if they did, they would still release the style, the very simple style, not the butterfly kind. But they listen, generally speaking. So this, also, once again, this is a 20-year-old tool that still has almost no handle rock. If you make a multi-tool and brand new, it has handle rock, congratulations, you've made something crappier than a thing that's 20 years old. So try again, you idiots. My favorite evolution, I have two favorite evolutions on this. For one, this is the Leatherman Supertool 200 that began production in 2001 and I believe ran through 2007 or 8. Not clear on that. You can see the exact same plier head, same hard wire cutters, all the gist. Yeah, this one is much looser. It's just how I got it. One thing that makes me infinitely happier is you can see that the handles are just rolled over just a little bit. So what that means is if you're used to the modern styling of Leatherman, if you're used to the Supertool 300 and the wave, how the handles are rounded so you can actually grab them without feeling like you're punching a brick, this does that, and it feels fantastic. Second favorite change, and we'll get into the different tool set in a second, but second favorite change is, go back in, there we go. Okay, there we go. These do not have a lock back. These have some kind of roundy lock. To be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure how this functions, but it does, and it's great, and I'm a fan. So, as you can see here, very little, all that sound is coming from the handle, very little blade play, and to put it away, grab that, push it down. It's a pre-arc lock, basically. So excellent, excellent evolution, and it's on both sides. Thank you, Leatherman, for fixing your multi-tool backlock. Multi here being that you have to take several out to put the one back in. This is a straight blade that is much more similar to the 300 than it is to the original. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit simpler, the clip is not as clippy. We have an awl that I'm not going to grab by the blade. We have a file that is 3-side grounded, cross-cut, single cut, and on the edge. And same tool set, we have a big flathead, a medium flat, and an awl. So all of those are still on the same side. Over here, the biggest change to our tool set is that this is where Leatherman started doing the sheep's foot serrated blades. So if you look at all of their modern blades, at most of their modern blades, the straight blade will be a drop point or clip point or something of that sort, and the serrated will be a sheep's foot. Now the purpose for this is, suppose in emergency situations you need to, I'm sure that this is not the immediate purpose, but one use for that, suppose you're in an emergency situation and you need to get somebody's seatbelt off. Well, if you stick this serrated blade in between the person and the seatbelt, you're stabbing them in the small intestine before you can get the seatbelt off. With this sheep's foot blade, you can put it down between somebody and something and pull, and because it's not pointy, it's safer, which is real cool. All of the tools are the exact same except for, nope. Okay, so that is a micro screwdriver. There we go. So mine on the original Supertool is broken, but on the 200 we can see it is just a micro flathead. So that's cool. And once again, we have the saw. Now, this does actually also work on the disengage, so you don't have to mess with the arc if you don't like it. You can do the same thing from the OG. Just pull it out, it'll disengage the lock, and then you can put them both back in. So that is the Leatherman family. The Supertool family, as it currently stands. All three of these excellent tools. I put the Leatherman in. I put the Leatherman. Thanks, you idiot. I put the rebar in the opening picture because I've always considered that basically a baby 300, which I guess makes it a little cousin to these. And once again, you get the sheep's foot serrated blade. I wonder. It's almost the same size as the original Supertool, which I think is very interesting. So that and the rebar is something that I keep in my uh-oh bag in my car. So it's something that I hope that I never have to legitimately use, but I have a couple of times. This is where that family is, and it's very cool to see progress. I'm guessing the Supertool 300, as it stands today, began production in 2009. By the way, the rebar, I'm not sure. I didn't think to get numbers on that. But this is the course of innovation. This is this exact thing is why I love multi-tools so much, because I'm obsessed with micro innovations that that maybe don't mean a whole lot until you start using it. For instance, I wonder at what point Leatherman started considering rounding their tools off. Was it an immediate thing where everyone instantly realized, oh no, this is a terrible idea, we need to fix it and round our handles in the next tool? Or was it somebody in the boardroom timidly raising their hand and saying, you know, my hands kind of hurt, and everyone called him a wuss, and it wasn't for another 3 years later that, you know what, maybe that guy was right, maybe we should round our handles in the next one. I love imagining how these things happen, and this is a snapshot in history for me for that. This overall size of it, the replaceable wire cutters, the rounded handles, the locking system. It is a fascination for me. It's a fascination for me for how much changes and how much stays the same, because this is the exact same tool set, literally the exact same. 20 years, 94 to 09, a number of years, I think that's 15, a number of years later, and we're still talking about the exact same tool, because they fixed what was bad and kept what was good. And what was bad was just very simple things. And what was good was everything else, because you started with a solid idea and just gave it a little bit of micro tweaking from here to there. So this is the Supertool family. I am quite fond of it. If you see them online anywhere, get them. I bought these secondhand from an app that shows you what people are selling locally. Pick them up. It's a piece of history. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. If you watch any of my stuff, then this stuff probably interests you. So go get it before they go away. Because remember, discontinued multi-tools aren't in production anymore, which means you have a handful of shots at grabbing one. Like I am currently searching through for discontinued Gerbers, because I've got most of my Leatherman, but I'm searching through for discontinued Gerbers, and there aren't any on the market, because I missed my chance when they were in production. So if you see these, don't miss your chance. Pick them up. You'll love them. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know down below. Other than that, you have a great day, and I have a computer again, so we're back probably on regular schedule next week. You folks have a good one.